Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkey's Outdoors. Get all your hound hunting needs at conkeys.com. Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest fights to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game.
So this one actually is from this past I say off season. Like me and Aidan say off season because we go play ball in the spring.
Yeah.
But this past fall, we live down in Beaumont, Texas, or I live in Beaumont. He lives in Buena, but same general area.
Okay.
Down there, pretty close to the coast. So it stays warmer a little longer, and we still get quite a bit of rain. And vegetation is everything's still green. So this particular night, me and my older brother Zane, we went out just outside of Beaumont to one of the places Aidan was telling you about the other day. And it's real marshy, real swampy area. And so we let our dogs out. He has his little walker dog, and I have my two dogs. I got a walker Jip named Liz and a black and tan puppy named Slim. And man, we let him out, and the night started. The first cast we let him out started off good, man. Like my puppy had just seen his third coon in a cage. I had done some work with him on treeing a couple of days before, so we took him out, and it had just rained a ton that week. Like every day it was pouring rain, and we take him out, and we just cast him off this little road in between this rice field and this little patch of woods. And I guess we just chose the right spot because about 50 feet away they struck up. I think it was 2 or 3 coons on the ground. And me and my walker and his walker, they ran one of them up a tree like right in front of us. It's probably about 30 yards away from us. Then my puppy ran one. My puppy ran one back up this open flat back into the woods about 300 yards away. And, he doesn't really know how to finish it out. And then I don't think he saw it go up the tree, but he just circled this one little group of trees for a minute and come back to us. So it started off good. And then that one we're like, oh man, it's going to be a good night. And, we didn't make it to the backside where we were planning on actually hunting the dogs. And, the farther and farther we got into this property, the more water it was, and the dogs. They were kind of pulling up, and they probably should have been finishing these tracks out a little more, but the water was so deep where they would kind of be floating almost.
Yeah. And
they would kind of pull up, I guess, to the closest tree to them that was accessible, and they'd start treeing, and there was no coon. We never saw a coon after that first one. So we finally get down. It's like 10:30, I guess, at night, and we're like, okay, we'll let them out one more time. I only live about 20 minutes from this property, so I'm like, okay, I let them out. Hopefully they run a short track. We'll get them out of here, and I'll be home by midnight. And man, was I wrong? We let them out, and they went back to our left into this like flooded timber spot. And from the road we're on, the dogs were probably only 100 yards from us. We could literally see. I could see one of their collars blinking.
Mm-hmm.
But the water right there, it's across this marsh. And it was normally, you're probably talking about mid-thigh height water.
Okay.
But this night, it was like, chest deep, neck deep water. So we're like, okay, well, we know an opening. We can go all the way around it's in a big circle, basically. So we can go all the way around to this other side and walk into the woods and get closer to them. So we're tired. We're soaking wet because we've already been through some pretty deep water that night. And we go down. So my brother's like, man, I don't want to walk, 600, 700 yards to the other side and try to walk in there. Let's just go about halfway and see if the water's a little lower. We'll cross there. So we did that. We got to a spot where, it's, tickling the top of your boot. You have to walk on your tippy toes,
Yeah.
And we get across it, and my puppy, he came back to me, so he's walking with us. And we get across this water, and we're in the woods, and the first 20 yards, it looks like you're in, typical hardwood, like pretty easy walking. But after you turn the light on a little brighter, you get 20 yards in there, and it was nothing but, I mean, the thickest briar patch I've ever been through. And so my brother's like, well, I guess we're gonna have to bulldoze it and get to him. So because I know Aidan told you, we're not big on it. If the dog does the work to get to the tree, we gotta get to the dog. So
Yeah.
we're not gonna phone him off or call him back or anything like that. So me and Zane and my puppy Slim, we start trying to bulldoze it, but then we're like, man, we can't even take a step in here. And so my older brother's like, well, I guess we'll get on our hands and knees and let's see if we can crawl underneath it. And I'm telling you, where we entered those woods at, those dogs were maybe 300, like 200 to 300 yards away. So we get down on our knees, and my brother's like, here's a game trail right here. And so when he says game trail, I'm thinking like maybe this is a hog trail or a deer trail coming through here.
Yeah.
I guess he picked a rabbit trail because we were hands and knees. It took us an hour just to crawl far enough to a spot where we could stand up and walk.
Mm-mm-mm.
So my face and ears, both of us were missing chunks after that hour of crawling. And now by this time we're soaking wet, it's starting to rain, and we get to that path, and then we get to a clear enough spot to walk to him. So we start walking, and we kind of run through some more stuff. But this time we're like, we're not getting on hands and knees. We're going to walk over it. So we walk over it, and we get to the dog, and the night just has turned miserable at this point. And,
I'm sure. Sounds like it.
And we're sitting on a log. We're standing on a log. We can see the dogs, and they're not even trees. They're just swimming around a tree that they think the coon, that they thought the coon was in. But again, I don't think that I think they just pulled up because that was like the farthest they were willing to go.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're walking, and both of us have like broken briars in our boots, so we got to take our boots off and empty them out before we walk across this water. So we do that, and I take my boots off and I lean on this tree. I put my hand on the tree, and the next thing I know, man, I'm getting destroyed by I don't know what. So I turn my light on. My hand it looks like I stuck an oven mitt in an ant pile.
Oh.
And my hand and arm is getting destroyed by fire ants.
Mm.
And I'm like, man, dude, this is terrible. And so I dunk my hand in water. I get my boots emptied of briars, but get them full of water because I was too busy freaking out from the ants. I stepped on my boots and they sunk in the water. So now I got water on my boots. And dude, and then so we get to the dog. We just give it a courtesy look. But the tree, it's one of them trees where it was kind of by itself, and the branches weren't too big on it. So if there's a coon in that tree, we'd have seen it with a naked eye. And they wasn't out there from what we could tell. So we were like, all right, let's snap these dogs up. Let's get out of here. Well, then, we're looking back. Now we're looking back at where we were standing an hour ago, where they were only 100 yards away. And my brother's like, I think we ought to swim it, man. I said, what? Swim it? He's like, dude, I don't want to go back to that stuff, man. I can't do it. I can't do it again. We got to swim across. And I said, I'm not swimming across. You can swim across, and I'll watch you, but I'm not swimming across because I got 2 dogs to carry.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing it, man. And our phones in our packs, our controllers to the collars in our packs and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to have to go buy a new phone tomorrow. I was like, I'd rather just walk back to the same stuff we just came through. He's like, no, I'm going to swim it. So we stood there for about 20 minutes debating on whether we were going to swim or whether we were going to go back to where we came from. Well, then he's like, well, if we ain't going to swim it, let's just walk down the tree line in the water till we get back to that same spot we crossed earlier. Which, when you're walking on that dry road, is not very far.
Mm-hmm.
And we're thinking, because where we were standing at, we were probably about middle, just above the knee in water. So we're like, okay, well, it's this deep all the way down. We can do it. Just stay in the woods, and we'll get back there pretty quick. And again, we were completely wrong on our estimation because we walked about 30 yards back down the way we came, and instantly were about above our waist, belly button deep in water.
Oh.
And so the dog. Honestly, the easiest part was walking the dog because they just swam the whole. They basically swam the whole way.
Yeah.
And then me and my brother, the farther we walk, the farther we start getting deeper and deeper in water. Where I'm like, man, maybe we should just swim it across anyways. I mean, about to have the same outcome.
Yeah.
But we ended up going back through the woods, kind of zigzagging, and it took us another hour just to get back to where we had to cross the water in the first place.
Jeez.
So then we're like, okay, let's just walk back to the truck. We have about a 10-minute walk back to the truck. We'll be all right. And so I don't even know how this happened, but we get about halfway back to our truck, to both our trucks, and my brother's dog, I don't know how he got off the snap, but he takes off, and my brother's sitting there holding the leash. He's like, what just happened? And he couldn't, even if he toned him, he wouldn't come back, and he was almost a mile away, it felt like, in 2 minutes, like less than 2 seconds. So I got my dogs loaded up, and again, we're soaking wet, it's raining, we can't even hear him no more. And my brother's like calling and calling and calling, he's walking back down there calling. And by this point, it's like 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. We've been out there. It took us forever to get through that and come back.
Yeah, for sure.
And he could not get his dog to come back. So I'm like, look, what do you want me to do? Because I don't. If you're together in a swampy area, I don't like leaving.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it's my brother, but whoever your hunt was, I think a rule of thumb for any hunter, you should never leave him out there by himself. And he's like, I don't know, man. I'm gonna go down to the gas station. I'm gonna get a beer and I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna wait for him to come back, I guess. And so he went down there. I waited for him to get back. He went down there, got his beer, came back, and he's like, I'm not gonna go in the woods, so you go home. I'm only, like I said, 20 minutes down the road. So I go home, put my dogs up, and I call him like, hey, I'm about to come back. And when we come back, he's like, no, I'm just gonna sit here. I guess I'll spend the night in the truck, and I'll wait for him to come back. He'll come back when he gets tired, I guess. And sure enough, he texted me at like 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. He said he finally came back. He was soaking wet and cold. He's ready to go home now. But that was one of the I don't consider any coon hunting experience a terrible experience, but that was about as close as you come to it.
It sounds like
as a coon hunter.
See, I am lucky. I don't have a lot of water here where we're at. We don't flood like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've never really hunted a lot of water until the only time I've ever really have is back in early December. I was in Arkansas and there was a little bit of water there, but you know, we're talking, I don't know, ankle, like maybe a little higher than your ankle, like 6-8 inches of water. And then also last year when I was in Texas, there was a little bit of water, but I've never hunted where I was just like walking through water all night long, walking through anything. I've never gotten in over boots. So.
Oh yeah, that means because we waited, so we had all that rain, then we waited 2 days where it didn't rain to go, and it wasn't supposed to rain that night. And so we were like, okay, usually after you wait a couple of days, it'll go down a little bit, well enough for you to be able to not have that happen. But again, all of our assumptions were incorrect that night. So it just, it started off great, and then after that first cast out, we were just completely wrong every time we made a guess on how easy or how hard it was going to be to get somewhere.
Yeah.
But I tell everybody, that we come across a lot of guys, me and Aidan, playing ball that they hunt in one capacity or another, but most of them, actually none of them at this point, are coon hunters. And I tell them all the same thing. Every time you go coon hunting, it's going to be a different adventure than the first time. You're never going to have 2 nights that are exactly the same.
Yeah.
At all.
That's for
sure.
And
that's one thing. That's one thing I think most of us enjoy about it, aside from just hearing your dog in the first place, is how different it can be from sitting in the sand, hunting deer, which we do. Well, obviously we hunt everything you can hunt in Southeast Texas, but it's just not to me nothing quite compares to running through the woods at night, chasing dogs around, and the different trouble and adventure you can get into.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. So, well, you just kind of alluded throughout your story, and then also right there, last week's guest Aidan is your brother. So, why don't you introduce yourself?
So, my name is Brandon Anderson. I'm from Beaumont, Texas. I've been coon hunting basically my whole life, and also I am a professional baseball player. I got 2 seasons in the MLB so far. This will be my 3rd year.
Okay.
So, I'm excited for that. I'm actually out here now for spring training.
Okay. Who do you play for
yes,
now?
I got traded from the Texas Rangers to the Milwaukee Brewers beginning of January.
Okay.
On my way to go coon hunt with my brothers, believe it or not.
So I am not a sports person. Do not watch sports at all. How does that work? Like getting traded?
Well, this is my 2nd time. So, but both times are basically the same. Really, you don't really have any control. They'll just call you, your general manager, or like the head of the farm system or whoever, somebody important will call you and basically just let you know that, hey, you've been traded to this team, and it was a pleasure having you and whatnot, and we wish you nothing but the best. And they'll call you in about 20 minutes to an hour. So enjoy your new team. Basically, honestly, that's as simple. It's pretty. People think a lot more goes into it on your side, but really nothing goes into it from the player standpoint.
Well, like I said right before we started, this is not a normal profession. If I want to go a different job, like I go apply for that job, nobody's calling me and just like, oh yeah, you're getting a new job today.
Right. Yeah. Basically, that's a drastic difference. But yeah, both times. The first time I was in low A with the Mariners, and they traded me to the Rangers. And then this year, this past off season, I got traded from from Texas to Milwaukee, and both, like I said, both times is pretty much. I mean, like I said, we were driving. I'm actually glad that the president of the Rangers called me when he called me, because I was just about to be in no service territory for the next hour or so.
Okay.
And I had my older brother Zane, his son Carter, with me, and we were going to meet Aidan in the town of in East Texas. And literally, I have a newer truck, so when somebody calls me, their name pops up on the little screen or whatever.
Yeah.
And I told my brother, like, hey man, you and Carter just hang on a second. I'm gonna talk to him on the phone. I got to pull over so I don't lose service, because I was already kind of losing service to begin with. And I just happened to stop in a little pocket where I got pretty good service, and he was like, hey, we trade you to the Brewers, and they'll call you, and we buy, so that only took about 5 minutes, and then it was probably another 30 minutes till I got to Aidan. And when I got there, the Brewers called me, and he asked me what I was doing, and mind you, this is already after dark, and he's like, hey man, what are you? Glad to hear from you. Blah blah. What are you doing? And I was like, I'm going hunting with my brothers right now. I'm glad you called me, because I'm about to be in another spot where I don't have service for about an hour. And he's like, okay. And the next day, the pitching coach called me. He's like, hey man, I heard you're doing some hunting. You going up to like a deer camp or something? I was like, oh no, I was done hunting at like 2 a.m. like by the time I got home. He's like, you hunting deer at night? I said, no, I'm not hunting deer. I was coon hunting. He's like, coon hunting? I was like, yeah, I got hound dogs, and we go out hunt coons at night. And he's like, man, I haven't met somebody who coon hunted since I think he said he grew up somewhere in the Midwest.
Okay.
He's like, man, I haven't come across a coon hunter in probably 25 years.
Yeah.
He's like, I think you're the first one I met that is a baseball player. And I was like, yeah, I think the only other one I know is my brother. So, but yeah, he was like, man, I thought this whole time I was gonna call you and you were sitting in the deer stand this morning. I was like, no, I'm sitting on my couch right now. We had a good night. I think we got three or four coons that night, and and he was more interested in me coon hunting than talking about baseball all the time.
That's funny.
But that just goes to show you, I mean, how rarely, I guess, in baseball you come across somebody that does. Most other hound hunters I've come across in baseball are either from a deer dog state
Mm-hmm.
where they run deer dogs, or I've come across quite a few hog hunters and rabbit hunters though.
Okay.
But no coon hunters, no.
Yeah, I was just talking to, so one of my sponsors is Conkeys Outdoors, and Zach was telling me that they have a guy that's pretty local to them, and he told me the guy's name, but he plays professional baseball, but he's runs deer dogs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I forget his name off the top of my head, but
the only one I play with Jacob DeGrom. He's from Florida, and he's a deer dog guy. But other than that, most of the other guys I come across they're from Texas or like Louisiana, Mississippi, they're all hog hunters, big time hog, and especially Southeast Texas is a huge hog hunting area. So most time when I see somebody with a hound dog that's in our area, they're a hog hunter.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which is fun. Which, I mean, I've done that myself as well. Especially when I lived out closer to Houston, Galveston, Houston area. That was the time where I saw Galveston hounds. I pulled over at his house. He was outside working in his yard or something. I said, "Hey man, I see you got some hounds. You would have him be a coon." He had a black and tan, but like in a kennel, right by his truck. I guess he was getting ready to go that night. And hey man, you don't have to be a coon hunter, would you? He's like, "No, I'm a hog hunter. This is just my best dog, so I'll keep him close to the truck so he gets the best spot or whatever." I was like, okay. And then I'm going with that guy a few times, but
cool.
But I'm coon hunting is obviously man, we've been doing that for forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the first type of hunting I ever did was coon hunting.
You're gonna have to get somebody to bring a dog up there to Wisconsin for you.
Yeah, man, and
big old coon up there.
Yeah, a good friend, our dad's friend lives down the road from him. They've coon hunted together for 40, 50 years. He's always, anytime I go play somewhere, like when I went and played in North Carolina, he's like, "Hey, I know a bunch of guys right there about where you're playing at. If you ever want to go coon hunting," and I had to tell him, I was like, "I don't know if the team would like that if I went and did that during the middle of the season." Because not too long ago, me and Aidan were hunting, and man, I thought I stepped right where he stepped, and we were stepping next to like a dead pine tree that fell over, and I kid you not, it was on the edge of a creek, and I guess I missed where he stepped at, and my whole left leg was under the ground, and he had to help pull me out. So if I did that during the season, they found out that'd probably be in trouble.
They don't like you getting hurt off the job, huh?
Yeah, I guess no, definitely not during the middle of the year.
I understand that.
Oh yeah, rightfully so. But I mean, it'd be hard to say no if somebody did offer me during the year. Especially, we go so long. We go 6-7 months with no hunting at all whatsoever. So
yeah,
if somebody was like, "Hey man, let's go run the dogs for an hour," I'd be like, I have to think about it.
I'm right there with you. So, what obviously you don't get to run dogs like you just said for a good portion of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I know when I talked to your brother, he said your dad and your brother and you guys had some friends at home that kind of keep your dogs in shape for you. But what makes you want to keep dogs and keep coming back to it?
I think it's most people I tell that I just think it's in my blood at this point. My dad used to go hunt just about every night, and I think we started so young, just like my brother's boy. He started coming out with us when he was 4, and we started around the same age. And you just grow a passion and a love for doing it after a while, And I think most young men that when they grow up in a household where their father's a hunter, I think most of us want to be just like our dads in some sense. And just seeing the love and the passion he had for doing it, and then our older brother and our older sister as well. Just seeing them do it, and as far as when you go up in a rural area, waking up and feeding the animals, feeding the dogs, taking care of all your animals, not just your dogs, but
Mm-hmm.
it just becomes a part of your routine, and it becomes a part of just a way of life, really. And it's been, people get so surprised about us coon hunting and stuff, and I always tell them, coon hunting is one of the oldest forms of hunting in this country. It's been going on since the 1700s.
Yeah.
With dogs, with hounds, and I just think at this point it's just a part of our way of life. And Aidan alluded to this. I think I listened to him last week. And I'm sure most coon hunters are the same way. There's like I'll be laying in bed at night, and I swear I can hear dogs barking. And it's just a part of you after a while, and it's just something you love doing, and something that my son's only 17 months, and I can't wait to take him out on his first time. So and my nephew, my sister's son, comes out with us too. He just started going. He's 5, and just sharing the love of I hate calling it a sport, but
Yeah.
of sharing your passion with the next generation of hunters. It's just all those things I think just keep us coming back, because as much as I love baseball, I'll be coon hunting a lot longer than I'll be playing baseball. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
it's just something that you really just love doing, and something that really just draws you back into it. No matter how long away you stay away from it, when I get back home, the first thing I want to do is take the dogs out. So that'll probably always be that way.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said you got 2 dogs right now?
Mm-hmm. I got a female walker, a female named All Biz Liz, and then I have I bought her this past off season.
Okay.
From a fellow coon hunter, obviously, man, in southeast Louisiana.
Okay.
Named Mr. Terry Perkins. He had her, and my brother had met him at the Winter Classic a few years ago. And we were looking for. I knew I was going to get my puppy, and so I wanted an older dog, because most of our dogs are young, and I wanted an older dog to kind of help train them with. So he called him one day when we were in, I think we were in Reno, Nevada, about to play in AAA, and he's like, "Hey, I got the dog for you, man. She's a great dog." We went out there, hunted her, and then I ended up buying her.
Nice.
And then my puppy, I'm partial to black and tans. I know in this part of the country, a lot of guys like walkers, which I have no problem with. Obviously, I
it's
own
everywhere.
One. Yeah. Our dad never hunted. We had one black and tan. I think we had him for 3 days, and my dad sold him to another buddy down the road that coon hunted. And but I'm partial to black and tans. I know Aidan told you about our dog Jack that we had bought.
Yeah.
Which man, he lives with me. I'll never forget him. But he really because before that I only ever hunted with walkers, so I always had walkers, and so when we got Jack and I saw how great a dog he was, ever since then I love black dogs, man. I can't lie, and so I ended up getting Slim from my dad's his side of the family's from North Louisiana, a little town called Converse, Louisiana. And a good friend of his, I don't know if you ever come across him, Kenneth LaRue.
Yeah, I know Chooch.
Yeah, Mr. Chooch, man. He's known my dad. He's a little older than my dad, but they've known each other their whole life, And he's hunted with my cousins and stuff. So I had called him I was looking for a black dog, and he's like, "Well, I don't got no older, any 1-year-old or 2-year-old, but my Jip just had, or my male dog just had a litter with this Jip from Kentucky. I'll save one for you. You come up here and get it when you get home." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll be there when I get home." And I went up there and got him. And his name is Coon Ranches, Louisiana Slim Reaper.
Okay.
He's my dog, man. I love him to death. He's already making me happy, and he's not even treating his own thing yet. So
there you go.
But yeah, I love both my dogs to death. Liz has been amazing. She's been phenomenal for us. So, I'm happy with what I got, and I'll probably keep it at 2 dogs for now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little hard. It's a little hard with more than that, leaving for the year and having somebody kind of hunt them for you and watch them. So
Yeah,
I'll probably stick with those two for a while.
understand. Yeah, actually, on a side note, Chooch has been on this podcast probably, I don't know, a little over a year, I think, ago. So
Yeah, he's my I call him. I call him probably once a week and give him an update. He likes to keep up with his puppies,
yeah,
and see how they're doing. And since I'm so close, relatively close, about 3.5 hours away, so
okay,
and again, he's a family friend. So my dad's they're basically my dad's for 70 years. So,
mm-hmm.
so I talk to him all the time. I was actually planning on calling him tomorrow, which I probably still will if he's not busy. But yeah, man, I love him to death. He's also a great mentor, kind of along with my dad, but just kind of, it's always nice having somebody else.
Yeah.
And in my case, a few people that have been doing it for so long that have pretty much seen everything,
Mm-hmm.
sure. and just kind of helping you coach your dog through it and, trying something new with them. So it's always a pleasure talking to him.
For sure. No, he was one of my favorite guests. I will say, just he's a great storyteller and had some great information as well. So.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Conkeys Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkeys motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need when you need it. Conkeys carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well. So we need some more hunting stories. You obviously had a pretty big train wreck earlier this year at the night you guys got stuck out there, but and got soaked. But what's one of your earliest coon hunting memories?
Man, so one of my it wasn't a pleasure hunt. Actually, this is probably the first time I ever went to a competition hunt. My dad, I don't think he had the patience to bring a dog and also 4 kids. So he would split us up because he hunted a lot. So one weekend he'd take my sister, and then the next weekend he'd take my older brother. And I'm the youngest, so he finally got down to me, and we went to if I remember correctly, it was in the Alexandria, Louisiana area for a hunt. And that I just I can't tell you much about the hunt, but just the experience of seeing all the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he knew somebody that ran this club or something. And one thing I remember is we had chicken and dumplings. They served chicken and dumplings before we went out, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. But
it's funny what you remember.
And I had chicken and dumplings.
Like you remember I don't want to say weird, but the odd things, like like what you ate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I had that just stuck with me for some reason. But we ate, and man, I remember the one thing that really stuck out to me was seeing so many dogs in one, in truck. They're all in the dog box, but in the back of these trucks and stuff. And it's just something that has really stuck with me my whole life. It's just seeing all these different breeds. They have blue ticks and walkers and black and tans, red bones, and just seeing how how into it everybody was. I think that's another thing that probably helped excite me. But one of my first hunts, I remember, again, I was probably maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, somewhere around there, and this was a pleasure hunt, and we went out, and but they cut the dog. My dad had about three other guys were with us, and it's super cold. We're on some property, and they let the dogs out and start a fire, and they just cooked some deer meat over a fire with barely basic seasoning probably, and pretty much on a stick. And I just remember sitting on this little log my dad drove over, me and my brothers, and we're just eating this meat, and I can't even hear dogs. And this is a way back now, but my dad's buddy pulls out this antenna.
Yep.
And this is the old tracking system.
The old beep beep systems.
Yeah, and I'm like, is he about to pull a TV out or something? And we're gonna watch TV. And no, my dad's like, no, boy, that's a tracking system. He's gonna track the dog for us. So he locates them. We go in there, and I just remember, we had probably 6, 7 dogs around the street, and we're looking up, and they spot it, and just all this commotion, and we finally get the dogs up together, and I just remember getting drugged by these. My dad, I don't know why he thought to put me on a double snap with 2 dogs. And I just remember getting beat up going through them woods, man. I was getting tore. I was like literally basically getting drugged on my face because the dogs were just following the other dogs in front of them.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here getting drugged, and I honestly don't know if my dad noticed at all. But by the time we got to the truck, my light was like was all off to the side, and I got sticks sticking out of my hair. And he's like, "What happened to you?" And I was like, well, I was walking the dog, and next thing I know, I'm getting drugged. I got drugged all the way back here. He's like, wow. Well, put them dogs up. Let's go. We got to go to the next spot. I just remember like, dang, man. But it didn't dissuade me from wanting to keep going. But that's probably my earliest memories. Just like, all this commotion and getting drugged out, and then, all right, we're gonna load up and go to the next spot and do it again.
From between you and Aidan, your dad sounds like no nonsense. He was not making it easy for you guys. You were gonna go. You were gonna hunt with the.
Oh yeah,
with the adults.
You were going. You were hunting. You were doing everything. So we had a blast, man. It was never, like I said, it was never a dull moment going. But back in those days, he was, talk about a coon hunter. He was a bona fide coon hunter, man. He was going at least 4 nights a week. And we were going to be out there until he got tired, the dogs got tired. One, two.
Yeah.
Well, this was another night we were hunting. Another, not quite as marshy, but it had a decent amount of water on it. And my dad, we only brought 1 dog this night, to my memory. We might have had 2, but again, we didn't have collars. We didn't have a beep satellite or anything like that. We just did it by ear, and like me and Aidan just started using collars probably 2, maybe 3 years ago now.
Okay.
And so there's no GPS. We don't know where the dog's at. And my dad was like, "Well, I guess we're gonna have to go home and come back tomorrow and see if we can get him." And we were like, and we were young. We were like, yeah, the dog is like a part of the family, and so we were like, we can't leave him out here. He's gonna be cold. He's gonna be hungry. And my dad was like, no, I'm gonna put my jacket on the ground right here. And when we come back tomorrow morning, he's gonna be on his jacket. I guarantee it. And me and Aidan were like, okay, all right, let's get real. Well, the dog comes to back, find your jacket randomly in the woods and lay on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's exactly what's gonna happen. And we were so mad. I want to say we were both probably crying because we were so mad we were leaving the dog out there. And sure enough, we come back the next day, and that dog was balled up on that jacket, sleeping, waiting on us to pick him up. And I couldn't believe it. Had I not seen it, I probably wouldn't believe it. And apparently, I've talked to some other older hunters that have done the same thing, and it worked. And to me, that was like, the inventing of sliced bread or something. I was like, I just couldn't believe the dog that they're so smart and their noses are so good. He could smell that jacket from however far off he had gone and come back and stay there.
That was standard practice.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day,
and that's a part of learning. Going young and learning stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That they'll do that. And, I'm sure it'll help me one day, probably. I got collars now, but you never know what could happen if some fall off or get hung on a branch and break off or something. But yeah, dude, that was like literally. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Yeah. That they just wanted us to do that, come back, sit right there on that jacket and wait. And we had another. Another one was recent, and we had never coon hunted during the day. ever. And I've met some guys that do that now. They'll go out like, right as the sun's coming up, basically, and
Yeah.
let the dogs out. But we had left our dog with my dad's buddy that lives down the road. We were going to breed our male dog and his female dog and get some puppies. Well, his wife called my dad, and she's like, "Hey, your dog, he's not here." We're like, "What do you mean he's not there?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know where he's at. I went out here to feed him. He's not here." And he had like a ground pen. Like he didn't. They're not caged in. Basically, just open in like a circle, big giant circle pen.
Okay.
And I guess he had jumped the fence or something because our dog had never been in a pen like that. And he got out one way or another. And this man, he lives on a really long dirt road that's like bordered on each side of the road. It's just straight woods both directions. And as we're driving in, it's like 9 a.m. And we had the windows down, and my dad was like, "Hang on, what's that?" And like we sit there, and just barely you could hear a bark.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, "Man, that must be him. He must be back there tree somewhere." So we didn't have our boots or anything. I don't know why, but it's broad daylight, and we go walking and down this trail, and after about an hour, or not even an hour, but this hour walking from the truck into the woods to where he was at, he was in like a creek, treed in the middle of the day, on a den tree, and we were out. And again, I was probably like 20, like early 20s, and I was like, "Wow, he stayed here all night." And he's like, "Well, that's how you know you got a good dog. If he'll stay there all night."
Yeah.
And he was tired. And that was another time I was like, "Man, these dogs they love it." And he was hammered down, just waiting on somebody to show up. And and that's another one of those, like, I guess, learning moments. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just you get your dog good enough, that they'll be there for you, waiting on you to get there. And I'm positive there's probably a coon in that hole in that tree up there, because he was pretty good. That dog was a pretty good dog.
Yeah.
And he had a loud mouth, dude, and you could hear him from a ways off. He's with another family friend now. He's a little older, and he's trying to get his grandson, actually.
Okay.
He's like 10.
Nice.
He wanted to get him a dog and show him, because the family friend we brought to, he's like mid-70s, late 70s, so he can't really go as much as he wants to, but he wants to be able to take his son on their property.
Mm-hmm.
And that particular dog is typically not one to go super far.
Gotcha.
So he's with them now. I'm sure he's still treating coons just like he was for us. But this is another one of those things, as a guy who, as he growing up and learning new things, that was both of those moments for me were just like, wow.
Yeah.
These dogs, man, they're smart.
Special.
People don't give them enough credit for how smart they actually are. So
Not at all.
Man, we had my favorite story personally is when we got that black dog Jack, man. That was our first time buying a dog without my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were growing up, he bought the dogs, and so
Oh yeah.
Aidan had that blue tick, and we really needed to order a dog. And this was another off season. I was before I got to the majors, so I was working construction or something. One of my coworkers was like, "Hey man, I know these guys up there in Chapel Hill that they hog hunt, they rabbit hunt, they can hunt. So let me give you his name, and you can give him a call." So I gave him a call, and like I said, it was my first time. So he's like, "Man, it's kind of honestly like a joke, like a car salesman." He's like, "Do I got the dog for you? I'm telling you, this dog right here is so good. You go in the house and go to sleep. He'll bring the coon back to you." I'm like, "Okay, all right." Well, he was selling them for like $800. I'm like, "Well, this dog's so good. Why is he not, $10,000?"
Yeah.
But he was like, "Man, I've come across this now several times." But he's like, "I'm getting older, and my wife says it's time to cut the number of dogs down a little bit. So I'm just kind of getting them out here, and I can't keep hold of them." So I was like, "Okay." And we got out there, and they pulled up, and they were like, and they told us, they're like, I'm gonna give you the dog. You're gonna take him out to 10 trees. You're gonna see 10 coons. And if you don't see 10 coons, you bring it back here, I give you money back. And to us at the time, this is before the new rules and stuff, but I was like a minor league paycheck. You're looking at like $600 every 2 weeks. So we split the cost at $400 each. So I'm like, that is a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the first time we got them, and because I was living, me and Aidan at the time was living probably like 2 hours away from each other. I kept them with me, and because I had space at where I was staying at keep them, and so we were like, all right, we can't go hunting this weekend because I think like Aidan had to go out of town or I had to go out of town or something. But the next weekend we're gonna hunt. So that was the most nerve wracking 2 weeks I've ever had in my life. And we go out there and on Coon Branch actually, which is, I know you talked about the brand we started. Mm-hmm. Coon Branch is an actual branch off the Sabine River, and it happens to cut through where my mom's side of the family is from, and right by the house my mom grew up in.
Okay.
And so when we started it, we were looking for a name, and so we were like, literally the sign is right there before you pull in my parents' house. It says Coon Branch.
Nice. And
we were just like, well, I don't know if it's coincidence or fate, but we're coon hunters, and the name of this branch is Coon Branch, so let's name it Coon Branch. Yeah. And so we had him. We had another dog named Jack, and I want to say, Aidan Blue Tick puppy, and so we're like, okay, well, we're gonna see if they were telling the truth or not. And man, we let all three dogs go at the same time. And Aiden's dog and the other Jack dog went to the left. And I kid you not, that black dog we got, Jack, went to the right and was out of sight, out of earshot in like 2 seconds. And we were like, oh no. he's running a deer or something, because he was literally half a mile away from us quick. And the other two dogs were going the other way. We know how they hunt, so we were like, okay, well, they're hunting right here. And the whole time, my dad's like, I can't believe y'all bought that dog without hunting. I can't believe you took that dog here and you let that dog go, and now we're never gonna get him back. And I'm like, oh my god. So we're sitting there, both of us. I'm honestly about to cry because we just spent half the money to our name on the dog, and he's gone a mile away from us. And so finally, he trees after like an hour. And we're like, okay, well, if he trees, then he must be hunting a coon. And we stopped being sad. We're like, okay, well, maybe he has a coon tree. And man, the other two dogs were still hunting, so we're like, we'll leave him here. My dad's here. We'll go get him. And we went a mile, and the only way we can get to him is through the woods. So we had to go a mile through the woods. And sure enough, man, there's a coon in that tree, dude. I mean, and nice. Talk about like absolute joy that there was a coon in that tree and not relieved. A bobcat or a possum or whatever. Man, because my dad, when he got him, he's like, man, look at this dog's nails. This dog, he ain't been hunted in 2 years. Well, look at this dog. He's so old, he can't even get out of the truck. Blah blah. So I'm like, the whole time we were just sitting there thinking about all that stuff. We're like, oh my god, my dad's gonna be right, and we just wasted our money. And we take him. We get the coon. We take him. We let him out again. And this time we drove back down the road to another spot that's a lot bigger. And I think we let him go like 4 times that night. And I mean, they were not lying to us. Every time we went to a tree, they was in that tree. And I think it was 23 times before we got to a spot where he finally didn't have a coon in the tree. But this was like on a beaver. A beaver had dammed up a creek. Mm-hmm. So it was like a lake back there. And this tree had fallen over. And we're almost positive that the coon was in that thicket right there, but we just couldn't. We didn't have a thermal at the time.
Okay.
We were just now kind of coming into modern coon hunting where we just got some collars on GPS and
yeah.
And like I said, man, that dog he'll be with me in memory for forever. I'm thankful to the Burton family, the ones who sold to us in Chapel Hill, Texas, and I just mean, dude, I talk about a lot of fun nights behind that dog. And to me, obviously I'm 27, so I haven't been hunting as long as my dad. But he's the first dog I've come across that was that well that good of a tree dog. And I know my dad said he's had a few, but for me, I've yet to come across another one that's as good as him, and I'm just literally forever grateful that they sold that dog to us because he was phenomenal, man. He really
Mm-hmm.
was.
Yeah.
And he treated one time. I mean, another time we had him and a fellow buddy of ours. We hunt his dog for him, and he's probably close to equal as Jack. I wouldn't say he's quite as good, but this was our first time hunting two really good dogs that split treed.
Mm-hmm.
And we went so far, we ended up crossing a highway that cuts back toward my dad's house. And we're thinking, like, man, if we go a mile and a half and there ain't no coon in the tree, I might give it up. This might be my last night. Because we walked through everything you can imagine. Over creek, over beaver dams, through everything. And again, we still didn't get the other dog first. The other dog was the same distance, but the other direction.
Yeah.
And he was so far away that my dad's buddy, he lives like his like ranch is like on the Sabine River, and he called us and he's like, "Hey, y'all wouldn't be having any coon hunting tonight, would y'all?" And we were like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, I think I hear a dog back here on the river. I think he's treeing something." And I was like, "Yeah, that's our buddy Aaron. That's his dog." He's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "You need me to go get him?" And we were like, "No, if he trees, we'll go get him." And we probably should have, in hindsight, probably should have asked him to go get a dog for us because by the time we got to Jack, across this road and across another creek and over a log and up a hill, down a hill, and got him, we were like 3.5 miles away from the other dog.
Jeez.
And luckily enough, our dad was out that night with us. He was lived close enough by where we called him like, "Hey, can you please come pick us up on the road right now?" He's like, "It's 1 o'clock in the morning." And like, we know, but we're coon hunting down here, and we didn't cross the creek, we didn't cross the highway. Our trucks are all the way back where we started at. And he's like, "All right, let me get dressed. I'll be there in a minute." And I can just hear my mom in the background. What are they doing? He's like, "They're over here coon hunting. They're done back in here off the creek and over this hill and blah blah." And so we're tired, and we get to him. He's like, "Where's those?" He's like, "Well, where's those dogs at? I thought both dogs were here." We're like, "No, he's 3.5 miles that way on the edge of the river." He's like, "Man, I didn't bring the right truck. I'm in my 2-wheel drive truck. I can't drive down there." We're like, "Well, just drive us to our truck, and we'll put him in the truck, and we'll walk down there and get the other dog." And that's exactly what we did, man. We had to walk another mile and a half by the time we get back to our truck the other way and get Ugly. That's the name of the dog's name was Ugly, and
Very fitting
get
name
him.
too.
Do what?
I said very fitting name too.
Yeah,
I saw a picture of him.
Yeah, but we got to him, and he had a coon in the tree, and that was the only time we let him out that night. That was the first time we let him out.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, by the time we got to him, we had 2 trees, 2 coons in the tree. We were like, all right, we're exhausted. We got to call it a night now. We did enough walking for the next 2 months to get both these dogs. But again, that was another, that's another adventure to us. Something we enjoyed doing. In the time, I tell a lot of people this. In the time it takes you to get to the dog, you might be like fighting mad by the time like on the walk there because you got to go through so much crap. But when you get there and you can hear the dog and you can see the dog trees and you got a coon in that tree, that literally makes everything else, you don't care about it anymore. It was well worth it. So it was another one of those nights where it was definitely well worth it. And we put our time in, and we were lucky enough to have 2 really good dogs with us that night and have 2 coons treed, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm blessed enough to have coon hunting buddies. Most coon hunting, some of the best part is the camaraderie. Mm-hmm. But I'm blessed enough to have brothers that live close by and that are just as passionate as me at doing it. So I got a lot of memories of me and my brother.
Yeah.
Running through the woods and going over creeks and through bottoms and hollers and everything else.
Nah, that is one thing I think it's pretty cool that you guys get to hunt as a family and that you guys all hunt.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, growing up, I thought everybody was like that. So I got older, obviously, and started hunting my own dogs and stuff and meeting other guys, and like, when my dad's one of his friends, who he had like 100 dogs at his house. He had like 5 acres, and probably 3 of it was, 1 acre was coon dogs, 1 acre was squirrel dogs, 1 acre was rabbit dogs. I just met his brother the other day, and I was like, "So you don't coon hunt?" He's like, "No, I gave up coon hunting 30 years ago." I say it's stay out too late for me. I was like, "Really?" I didn't. And to me, that was always crazy when I hear people say that, because like I said, me and my brothers have been coon hunting our whole life, and all three of, and my sister, she doesn't. She's probably gone like once in the last couple of years, once or twice. But to me, it's just normal to have siblings that go with you,
Yeah.
and you call them up, or we'll text during the week, like on a Monday or Tuesday, but hey, I'm going out Thursday and Saturday. You want to go? Well, yeah, I'll be there. I'll tell my wife so she don't make no plans for me or something like that, and we'll go. And and I told my wife when we first like started dating, and she was like, "You go out at night and hunt at night?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so I told her, I was like, "Look, I'm gonna go one way or another." So and now we're married and have a son. She has no problem with it. She
That's
knows.
awesome.
I just tell her, hey, I just give her a heads up, like, hey, I'm going this weekend with Zane and Aidan. She's like, okay, and that's about it. I don't get any grief or anything like that. So I'm blessed in that too.
Yeah.
And but yeah, man, we had Mr. Tooth. I went out with Mr. Tooth last year, and me and my dad went up there, and he still hunts just as hard as me and my brother do. And he's on like we don't have a side by side, so we walk most of the time. We can't drive. We drive the truck as close as we can, and we walk. But he has that side by side, and walking through hollers and creeks is one thing, but driving that side by side through them is a whole nother thing. He is like, hang on, y'all. We're gonna get to the dogs real quick, and he was not lying about real quick, because he hit the gas, and dude, I'm talking about, it was like the Dukes of Hazzard, but in the middle of the night, and we're driving over logs and jumping creeks and stuff. I'm like, sitting there holding my hat and holding the side of the side by side. I'm like, oh my god, I should have said a prayer before we started going.
Yep. I know, he's not the only one like that. I've ridden in some pretty crazy. I've had some pretty crazy rides on the way to different trees, whether that's bear hunting, coon hunting, squirrel hunting.
So, oh yeah, and like I said, we walked. So that was That's actually my first time in my life riding a side by side to a tree for a coon. And I mean, he almost made me not want to do it again, but we did about 4 times that night. So after about the second time, you start to get a little used to it. But yeah, that was another fun experience, man, going with him and getting to see his dogs work and everything.
Mm-hmm. I've never hunted with him. I've seen him the last couple years at Black and Tan Days, but I just haven't got out with him.
Oh yeah, he's a fun time, man. He really is. Like I said, he still hunts. I talked to him the other day. He's hunting. I think he says he's going to a competition like every weekend for the next 2 months.
Doesn't surprise
me. So he's not slowing down at all whatsoever.
So,
which, I mean, if you know him, you wouldn't expect him to anyway. So
no. Well, what's the future look like for you, for Coon Branch Outdoors? I mean,
well, when we started, like when we first got the idea for Coon Branch, it really was like, we talked to so many teammates, especially like the last year. I have what they call options available. So like if I'm on a rookie contract, so I can get sent down to AAA and call back up, like, basically as much as I wanted to. And so we spend so much time in the bullpen, and a lot of guys we play with are really interested in it. So they were like, man, y'all should I don't know, man, y'all should start a YouTube channel and like videos and like sell some hats and stuff. Cause they're all like, we'll watch, we'll come with you, whatever. So I'm like, finally it got to the point where so many guys were telling us that I was like, I guess we ought to try it, give it a try anyways. And
why not?
So we started off with hats, and I did a lot of filming this year. That's like I told you, I don't have a lot of pictures of me because I'm the cameraman, and photographer when we go out.
Yep.
Which I didn't honestly. That's never been my style of like, I'm not one. I don't post a ton on social media or anything, but I actually have gotten to really enjoy it a lot as I started doing it, especially the photography. I got a lot of pictures that I'm gonna try to get printed out for me and my brothers and my dad.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe like Christmas gifts or something like that. But I really have enjoyed it, and so that's the next step is like, and mind you, if anybody ends up watching these videos, I am just new to this. I am not Quentin Tarantino. I'm not like a great director or anything. I'm just a guy trying to figure it out, honestly, as I go. And
I'm right there with you.
And so if like sometimes the camera looks down or something when it should be looking up, I apologize in advance. But that's probably the next step. We already are selling hats mainly right now. We have some jackets that we're trying to get put together and stuff. And then the next step would just be sharing our love of coon hunting with the rest of the world, with some videos on YouTube, and we'll have some introductory stuff too. Meet the dogs and all that stuff like that. And that's about it. Honestly, I mean, I just want to. There's no like, I don't want to, become the next, meat eater or anything like that. I just want to, show people what we do, what we love to do, and how we do it. And because a lot of times I think sometimes there's like a negative side, like a stigma about hunting with hounds and stuff like that. And as somebody who's done it their whole life, that can be further from the truth for most things people say. And I just want to show people that we love what we do. The dogs love what they do, and it's all about the dogs at the end of the day. As much as we talk about our experience, the dogs are one. There wouldn't be no fun or no adventures without the dogs in front of you. So, that's basically what we're trying to do, is just show, our heritage, I guess, our culture as houndsmen, and give other houndsmen and would-be houndsmen and future houndsmen something to look at as hopefully a baseline of the fun you can have, and how much you can come to enjoy it and come to love it. It's something that we try to get as many people that ask to go hunting with us, which is a lot more than you would probably imagine. We try to get them to come as much as we can, because it's something that, I don't know if coon hunting will be around forever. I hope it is. I really do pray that it is. But I just want to show as many people as I can before I leave this earth that how much fun it is, and how enjoyable it really is. And one of my goals is I want to hunt with dogs for every type of hound hunting there is before I die. I want to go bear hunting. I want to go deer dogging. I've been hog dogging and coon hunting, and maybe bobcats or mountain lions or foxhounds. That's one of my goals as a hunter and a houndsman, is to get to experience all those at some point. And so if anybody's listening and they want to tag along, somebody tag along, feel free to contact me on social media or however you can.
I might know a few people.
Yeah, and I will be there. And that, like Aidan said, we love to hunt. So if you tell us, hey, y'all come on, we're gonna come on, and we're gonna be there. So, that's basically that's what we want to do with Coon Ranch, is just show the world, give some people some hats and some jackets to wear if they enjoy it, and that's about it. I mean, there's no, like I said, there's no, I don't want to be the next billionaire off of hunting or anything like that, but that's just basically it. And obviously, it slows down for us during the year because of baseball. But once we get home, the first thing we're gonna do, like we do every year, is probably the second. I always give it. We give the first day. We stay at home, hang out with the wife and the kids. And the next day, by this time they basically know we're going to hunt. The second day we get home, so
there you go.
We'll start back every fall, and we'll have it going.
There you go. So, well, I really appreciate it, Grant.
Well, thank you for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep 'em talking in the timber.